You're like gum on a shoe, ain't you?
Give me this.
It's a bit late for target practice now, don't you think?
Jump on it.
You're kidding.
Oh, I'm gonna drag you.
Let's do it!
A lot of the problems with the battle scenes that were filmed on Hacksaw Ridge was that they had some noise issues with the dialogue location. It was filmed in an Australian summer, and that obviously has a lot of insects and bugs and noise on it. So a lot of the dialogue, even though it was recorded quite well, we couldn't use for those background noise purposes. So we had to replace a lot of it with ADR. Obviously then bringing in a lot of the replacing of the footsteps and then things like the gunshots and the explosions.
Right. I don't think what many people probably don't understand is that 95% of all the sound in this particular scene right here is fabricated by the sound team, carefully stitched together and woven into the fabric of the film.
Yeah, that's right.
The only bits of the dialogue were usable because the gunshots were actually prop guns that sound more like cap guns than real guns. So all of the dialogue that has guns under it has to be replaced.
Yep.
All of the footsteps, all of the yelling throughout the film, basically, in terms of the battle sequences.
Yeah.
Arms up!
You gotta be kidding me,
You're
Cornstalk.
tying a bowline, boy, not building a bra. Come on. Ready? Uh-huh. Get up!
The first battle in Hacksaw Ridge is 100% sound effects and dialogue. There's no music in the entire battle scene, which gave us the opportunity to create an entire sonic landscape and give the actors, who are doing a phenomenal job of running around and appearing as though they're being pelted with gunfire and explosions, which are really just prop guns and prop explosions. The sound is what really sells that they're on a battlefield there.
Yeah, exactly. And also the scale and the scope too. If you see some of the photos from set, you'll notice that it was shot on quite a small set that Mel had to create, and we needed, with the sound, is to create the scale of a bigger battlefield around us, and put the audience right in the middle of that.
Originally, the concept was to record all period correct sound effects, guns and weaponry for this film, but the reality is that this was a $100 million movie that only had a $40 million budget.
Yeah.
So everybody was pushed to the limit to come up with creative ways to do the sound design for the film. And we had a very clever team of sound artisans who did a lot of research, headed by a guy named Liam Price, who researched the guns heavily to get the period correct weaponry. But then, for dramatic purposes, we had to beef some of the guns up, replace some of the guns with guns that actually were a little bit more dramatically cool. Specifically, Vince's gun, which was doesn't sound anything like that it does in the movie. It sounds more like a pea shooter, actually.
Yep.
And Liam did a great job of crafting together a bunch of sounds to make it sound like that.
Okay, got it.
Okay, it's okay, Doc.
You're safe.
And there was a great dynamic to it as well with the three battles, the first one being very realistic and having the audience inside the battle. The second one stepping up the drama a little bit more, bringing in music, getting the characters that we know and love start to fall away and be killed. And then our third battle sequence going into a very stylized environment where music is driving us, pushing the emotion, and the sound effects fall back into a surreal kind of environment where you're hearing things like the bullet casing, but you're not hearing the bullet itself.
Hacksaw Ridge is a story about Desmond Doss, who was a pacifist and ran into the throes of battle, which was an absolute hell. And one of the directives from Mel was that he wanted us to put the audience right there on that battlefield. And as you can see in the beginning of the battle sequences, you know, Desmond and the gang, they're creeping in. They don't know what they're creeping into, and then all of a sudden, all hell breaks loose. So our task was to, you know, put the audience right there in the middle of the battlefield with the soldiers, and hopefully we accomplished that to some degree.